Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Kris. This is top five again. Five last photos with Nightmare Backstories. If you can click that thumbs up button for me, that helps out tremendously. You can subscribe to the channel. Um, I'm doing stuff like this pretty frequently, but it's Halloween, so I do a lot more. And sorry about that. And you can donate to the channel through the thanks button, just like this. All donations are appreciated. You can request a video, and your name gets sponsoring that video. Um, you can still request without it. Just takes a little bit longer, and you don't get that added shout out. All right, let's get into the video.
Some of the last photographs taken before someone passes away show them enjoying life, completely unaware of what's to come. While in this video, we're going to be exploring 5 happy photos that are not happy at all. As always, hit those lights, sit back, and enjoy. Jennifer Strange. This is the very last image of Jennifer Strange, after she won concert tickets for coming second in a water drinking contest. On January 12, 2007, 28-year-old Jennifer Strange from California took part in KDND's morning show contest.
This is the Wee for a Wee, I believe. Yeah, this one's sad.
Called Hold Your Wee for a Wee. I think you know where this one is going. Mother of 3 Jennifer entered the competition to try and win the console for her children. The person who could drink the most amount of water without urinating would win the prize. At the time, the Wii video game console was very popular and sought after, and almost impossible to find in stores. 17 to 20 contestants started drinking water in a room at KDND Studios. They began around 6:45 AM, and participants were each handed 240-litre water bottles to drink every 15 minutes. However, as the contest progressed, they were handed increasing quantities of water to drink. At one point during the broadcast, a nurse contacted the station to warn about the dangers of drinking too much water, but her concerns were dismissed. After about 3 hours of drinking water, Jennifer was eventually placed second and won tickets to a Justin Timberlake concert, but she paid a very high price for those tickets. Before Jennifer left the studio to go home, she complained to the DJs that her head hurt. They laughed it off and instead commented that her bloated belly made her look pregnant. It was estimated Jennifer drank around 7.6 litres of water. On her way home, she rang one of her co-workers crying and complaining of a severe headache. Sadly, that was the last conversation she had with anyone. Just hours after the contest, Jennifer was found dead in her Rancho Cordova home. An autopsy reveals Jennifer died from hyponatremia, or acute water intoxication. Drinking too much water disrupts the body's salt balance, causing cells and ultimately the brain to swell. Seizures and respiratory distress result, and in Jennifer's case, death. A wrongful death lawsuit was announced on behalf of Jennifer's husband and 3 children against the radio station. On October 29, 2009, the jury awarded the survivors the sum of $16.5 million in monetary damages. It ultimately led to the shutdown of KDND.
One thing to add, because I recently saw a little clip about this. When they said at the beginning, when that nurse or whatever, hold on, yeah, I'll come back to this 258. But
Of water to drink. At one point during the broadcast, a nurse contacted the station to warn about the dangers of drinking too much water, but her concerns were dismissed.
So right there, the concerns were dismissed. So what they told that lady was the people in the studio told that lady, they all signed a waiver. They knew what they're getting into. And that was the response. That was like the response from, I don't know if it was the producer of the show, but like the DJs, the disc jockeys said they all signed a waiver. They know what they're getting into. So it's not on us. And they said that to her. And she was like, yeah, that's not how that works. Like if something happens to them and it's serious and life threatening, you don't get to just chalk it up to, well, they signed the waiver. That's not how that works. And they just didn't care. So that was another issue that made it worse, is that they were hiding behind that. Well, they signed a waiver. Well, it doesn't matter. If you have everyone, we're all going to play Russian roulette, but you have to sign a waiver and then one person shoots themselves. It doesn't matter if I had everyone sign a waiver. I'm held for murder. That waiver means nothing in those situations.
Molly LaRue and Geoff Hood. The Appalachian Trail, also known as AT, is a hiking trail in the eastern United States. It spans almost 2,200 miles from Springer Mountain in Georgia to Mount Katahdin in Maine, passing through 14 states. It is said to be the world's longest hiking-only trail, and more than 3 million people hike segments of it each year, usually without incident. That was not the case for Molly and Geoff. Geoff Hood, 26, from Signal Mountain, Tennessee, and Molly LaRue, 20.
It's not Geoff. It's Jeff. That's another way of spelling it. Yeah, it's Jeff. It's weird. I knew a kid growing up across at this apartment complex. His name was, and I said the same thing, Geoff. And he goes, it's Jeff. And I was like, how am I supposed to know, man?
From Shaker Heights, Ohio, met in Salina, Kansas, at a church-sponsored program for vulnerable young people. After both losing their jobs, they decided to hike the Appalachian Trail together over a 6-month period, starting in Mount Katahdin in Maine on June 4th, 1990. Here are the couple happily posing for photos during their adventure. However, these would be the last photographs of the couple alive. On September 11th, 1990, Geoff and Molly hiked to Duncannon, Pennsylvania, and stayed at the Trailside Doyle Hotel, which was not far from the halfway mark of their trip. For the last few months, they had stayed in a tent or communal shelter, so this stay was a treat for them. The next day they resumed their hike and stopped at the Thalma Marks shelter near the top of Cove Mountain. The shelter was a 3-sided lean-to surrounded by trees, located around 30 feet from the trail. The couple bedded down for the night. In the early hours of September 13th, as the couple slept, in an utterly unprovoked attack, Geoff was fatally shot 3 times with a .22 caliber pistol to the head, back, and abdomen. Molly was tied up with a rope looped to her neck, sexually assaulted, and then stabbed to death. The couple were found the next day by hikers Cindy and Brian Bowen, who had intended to use the shelter that evening. They found Molly face down in a pool of blood with her hands tied behind her back. Geoff was found partially naked, holding a white shirt. The Bowens immediately called authorities and also reported seeing a suspicious-looking man near the murder site. The case was well publicized, and authorities were determined to catch the culprit. On September 21st, they got a breakthrough when 2 hikers spotted a man on the Appalachian Trail wearing Geoff's backpack and boots. They reported him to the National Park Service, and he was apprehended. The man was indeed wearing Geoff's backpack, boots, and watch, and was carrying the 2 murder weapons. His name was Paul David Cruz, an ex-Marine with an arrest warrant in Florida for a murder in Bartow. Cruz DNA matched DNA at the scene, and he was arrested and charged with the murders of Molly and Geoff. At the trial, he was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder and received 2 death sentences. In 2006, this was commuted to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. A tragic and senseless murder of a young couple who had their whole life ahead of them.
The more I hear about things on the Appalachian Trail, the more I think that that's just a destination for people to murder each other. You ever been? I haven't. I've crossed over it. No interest in hiking it. I hear too many horror stories, and I've seen too many videos about it. I'm jaded.
Loving family. Fabio Chiarioni, a loving father and husband, posted this photo of his wife and 2 sons on his social media page. At the time, he would have had no idea of the tragedy that would follow. On August 31st, 2024, Fabio was celebrating his 51st birthday at home with his family in Paderno Dugnano near Milan, northern Italy. After the celebrations, the family went to bed, but were disturbed at around 2 a.m. What they believed to be an intruder stabbed Fabio's 12-year-old son in his bed in a frenzied attack. Fabio, hearing the screams, went to help his son, and he too was stabbed in the neck and throat. Fabio's wife then came to see what was going on, and she too was stabbed. All three died almost instantly after being brutally knifed. The older son made a frantic phone call to the police, claiming that he killed his father in self-defense after trying to stop him attacking his brother and mother. However, when the police arrived, the 17-year-old confessed to killing all three members of his family. The senseless killing of a seemingly happy family unit has shocked the police and local community, and the teenager has offered no motive for why he slaughtered his family. Investigators have scoured the killer's social media, but cannot find no indication that the boy was troubled, beyond his description of feeling isolated. He told police he had a general sense of malaise that was his own and not related to any family issues. Malaise is just a general feeling of being out of sorts, and certainly not a reason to massacre your family. At the time of writing, this is a breaking story. The teenager is currently in custody, being held on suspicion of murder, with aggravating circumstances, including premeditation. A terrible tragedy that couldn't have been predicted in that lovely family post. Safari tragedy. Gail Matson was an adventurous 79-year-old from Minnesota, and in March 2024 was on her dream holiday, a safari in Kafue National Park, Zambia. In her words, she wanted the trip to be her last big adventure. Here is the last photograph taken of Gail alive.
Last adventure. What a terrible way to phrase that.
She was traveling with 5 other tourists on a game drive when a bull elephant started running towards their truck. The aggressive elephant then charged the open-top vehicle and tipped it over. Sadly, Gail was killed instantly, and another passenger was injured and taken to hospital. 4 others suffered minor injuries. A very sad end to what should have been the trip of a lifetime. Millions of people around the world engage in adventurous holidays without incident, and it's extremely rare for elephants to attack humans in this way. But they are wild animals and unpredictable, so even on organised events, there is never zero chance of an attack. Our thoughts go out to Gail's family, who must be completely shattered by this event.
That one's sad because, just it tipped over the car and she was killed instantly. Although minor compared to, the previous one was a stabbing to death. She wasn't attacked by lions and tigers or something like that. It's just still, wild animal, but still it's just so minor in terms of what it was. I don't know why the vehicle stopped. Were they not going to outrun it? Were they stopping so maybe the elephant wouldn't feel, what's the word? If there's a wild animal, right, you don't run from it because it'll chase you. So were they not running from it so that it would kind of oh, okay, and then it would leave? Because I would have just kept going unless the vehicle wasn't fast enough.
Timothy Pitson. On May 11, 2011, 6-year-old Timothy Pitson was dropped off by his father, James Pitson, at his kindergarten class in Greenman Elementary School in Aurora, Illinois. Not long after his mother, Amy Pitson, pulled him out of class, claiming there was a family emergency. At around 10 a.m., Amy dropped her car off at a repair shop, and an employee of the shop drove her and Timothy to Brookfield Zoo. At around 3 p.m., they returned, picked up the car, and drove to Key Lime Cove Resort in Gurnee, where they spent the night. The next morning, the pair drove to Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. The next day, security footage caught them checking out. This is the last time Timothy was seen, and to this day, no one knows where he is. On May 13th, Amy rang her mother and brother-in-law telling them that he and Timothy were safe and not in any danger. Phone records revealed these calls were made from an area northwest of Sterling, Illinois, near Route 40. Timothy was heard in the background during the calls, saying that he was hungry. At no point did Amy contact her husband James, who had been frantically searching for the pair, after being told Timothy had been taken out of school when he arrived to pick him up. At 7:25, Amy was seen alone at a Family Dollar store in Winnebago, Illinois, where she bought a notebook, a pen, and some envelopes. Amy was seen again about 30 minutes later at a food store. She was still alone. At 11:15 p.m., Amy checked in to Rockford Inn, seemingly alone, where sometime that night or the next morning, she took her own life by slashing her wrists and neck and overdosing on antihistamines. Amy's body was found by a hotel maid, but Timothy was nowhere to be found, and there is no sign he was ever in the hotel with his mother. On the bed were photographs of Timothy and a note in which Amy apologized for the mess and said that Timothy was safe, but that he would never be found. At the time of writing this, Timothy has not been found. It was known that Amy and James had some problems in their marriage, but their main focus was their son. The family find it hard to believe Amy would have harmed Timothy, although she was suffering mentally and may not have been thinking straight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she killed him. All the places that they're naming are a few hours north of me, which makes it very uncomfortable.
Also, the clothes she was wearing when she checked into the Rockford Inn have never been found. Some believe she changed them after killing her son.
Yeah.
However, there is no evidence of this. The fact remains, Timothy has not been seen or heard from since he checked out of the Kalahari resort with his mother. If he is still alive, he would be 19 years old today, and old enough to realize what has happened to him.
No. She killed him. That's why she took him to all those places. That was kind of like their last hurrah together. Then she got rid of him. It's a big world. All that traveling. Because no one in their right mind is going, like if she was like, here, I need you to take my kid and guard him with your life. Okay. And then I find out 2 days later she killed herself. And I have the child that they're looking for. You think that I'm not going to say anything? No. Hold on. You just sit down right there. I have to call 911. That's exactly what I'm doing. Anyone in their right state of mind would do the exact same thing. You are not just going to hold that kid and move on with your life. Like, well, she told me not to. No, because it's not your child.
The fact that he has never come forward or made contact with his family does seem like he is no longer with us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 5 last photographs with disturbing backstory.
The last one really bothers me because, like I say, that is a couple hours away from me in Illinois, That's a little too close to home for me. Well, we're going to end this here. As uncomfortable as it was, I don't want to say I hope you enjoyed it, because I don't. But I hope you RIP to those people. That's all I can really say. So until the next one, have a good day, have a good night. What'd I say? Have a good day, have a good night.